Let's look at the learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to know the components of project appraisal, understand the meaning of financial appraisal, learn the different types of financial appraisal techniques, evaluate the projects using these techniques, identify the projects which can be undertaken, and lastly, analyze the results derived from the technique. Introduction. A private sector project needs to be appraised and it is mainly checked for profitability. Once a project opportunity is conceived and it is considered acceptable after preliminary screening, a detailed feasibility study has to be undertaken covering marketing, technical, financial and economic aspects of the project. The study in the form of a detailed project report, which is also called DPR, will contain fairly specific estimates of project cost, means of financing, schedules of implementation, estimates of cost and benefit streams in terms of cash flows, debt servicing, capability of the project and social profitability. The ultimate decision whether to go in for the project or not and how to finance it is undertaken after the study, which discloses whether the project is technically feasible, economically viable and financially sound. Project appraisal. The appraisal of project means to evaluate the costs and benefits arising from the project from financial perspective to ascertain the demand and supply of product desired to be manufactured and to find whether it will be feasible to achieve the goal with constraints of limited resources. Thus, project requires the following appraisal before implementation, that is market appraisal, technical appraisal, economic appraisal and financial appraisal. Let's look at the market appraisal. Before undertaking any project, it is very important to know the market share and market size of the product. If the market size is very large, even a small share can be profitable. But if the market is squeezing, then even a dominant position in the market would not be an attractive proposition. So, analysis must be done to find out certain facts about the demand for the product before undertaking it. These facts can be about 1. What is the elasticity of the product? 2. What is the threat of new competitors? 3. What are the consumers' requirements? 4. What has been the past demand and what is the expectation of prospective demand? After considering the available information, a forecast for the future demand is made using an appropriate forecasting technique. Technical appraisal. The next step would be to check all the technicalities, that is, whether raw material would be available or not, whether enough power, fuel and other utilities would be available, whether it is a state of the art technology or not. If we are not using the latest technology, are there chances of it becoming obsolete? The plant layout and design are proper or not. Economic appraisal. Generally, projects which are government sponsored are appraised for its social cost benefit analysis. which is also known as economic analysis. A project shall be accepted if social benefits are more than social costs. Even private projects are evaluated for social cost benefits, and they are allowed or accepted if their social benefits are also more than social costs, or the enterprise undertakes to make out the loss that has been caused to the society. It can do so by taking measures to restore that ecological balance, by making repairs to the damage caused to the environment, and if due to the project some people get out of jobs, and then provide employment to those workers. While carrying out economic appraisal, the following points are worth considering: whether or not the project will provide employment, will it tend to distribute the income uniformly in the society? 3. Will the project increase savings and investments in the economy? Financial appraisal. Next important thing is to see whether the project is financially sound or not. Whenever a project is screened, it will be taken up only if it is financially sound. The inflow of cash streams should be more than the outflows. It should be profitable for the entrepreneur, and some value addition should be done. This is a very careful study, and lot of future forecast is required to be made. Steps in financial appraisal. The financial appraisal of a project can be viewed as two-step procedure. Firstly, the stream of cash flows, both inflows and outflows associated with the project is to be determined, and then by using some technique, these cash flows are evaluated to find out whether the project is financially sound or not. However, the appraisal is based on two very important assumptions. One, the first assumption is that cash flows will occur once in a year. This assumption is made to simplify the appraisal, as most of the appraisal criteria use the concept of time value of money. If cash flows will be considered as a continuous affair, then it will be difficult to find the present values. The second assumption is that project belongs to the same risk class as that of the firm which is employing the project. Step 1. Defining costs and benefits. All costs and benefits must be defined in terms of cash flows only. Further, cash flows which accrue to the firm are relevant. Therefore, cash flows after tax should be considered. For this purpose, depreciation and other non-cash items should be added back to the profits after tax. In determining cash flows, cash flow of the firm should be considered from long-term funds approach and not from equity perspective. Therefore, interest on long-term loans should be ignored. The reason is that the cash flows are discounted using the weighted average cost of capital. When cash flows after interest are discounted using weighted average cost of capital, the impact would be doubled. In determining the stream of cash flows, incremental cash flows should be considered. Sunk costs should be ignored, while opportunity costs should be taken into account. If the project has some impact on other product lines, it must be quantified and adjusted for. The overhead costs already incurred by the firm, now allocated as a cost of new project, should also be ignored. Step 2. Evaluating the cash flows using capital budgeting techniques. Once the cash flows are determined for the project, the next step will be to evaluate the cash flows using any of the techniques available. These techniques can be classified as traditional and modern. The difference being that traditional techniques do not consider the time value of money, whereas the modern techniques do not ignore it. Under these techniques, cash flows are discounted using some appropriate rate, which generally is the cost of capital, to compare the inflows and outflows. If inflows turn out to be more than the outflows, the projects are accepted, and where the question is to determine which project to invest in. That is, the question is of choice. That project is accepted which offers higher inflows or higher return. Sometimes it is also possible to invest in more than one project simultaneously. In such situations, we rank the project and select all those projects in the order of rank, though sometimes we may also depart from this order, as long as we have the resources available, that is the capital. In the following, we shall discuss these techniques in detail one by one. Techniques of financial appraisal. There are various techniques that help in financial appraisal. Some techniques use cash flows after tax, while others use profits for evaluating the proposal. Some techniques like payback period are keen to find out the time by which the investment is returned, while some give us the rate of return the project is generating. Some techniques consider the time value of money as relevant, while others ignore the concept. Each technique provides valuable information and insight into the worthiness of the project, yet each of them suffers from some limitation as well. Some of these techniques have been discussed as under. 1. Payback period. It measures the length of time which the project requires to cover the initial outflow. For example, if there is a project that has an initial outflow of rupees 200,000 and it generates an inflow of rupees 80,000 per annum for next 5 years, the payback period will be 200,000 divided by 80,000, that is 2.5 years. The sooner the payback period is, the better will be the project. However, this technique suffers from some drawbacks which can be listed as follows. 1. It ignores the cash generated after initial outlay is recovered. As in this example, it does not matter whether cash after 2.5 years or say after third year is rupees 5,000 or rupees 50,000 or rupees 500,000. The payback period remains the same. Thus, it leads to discrimination against projects which generate substantial cash flows in later years. Another limitation of the method is that it does not consider the time value of money. However, this limitation can be removed by considering discounted payback period. Thirdly, the cutoff period is also chosen arbitrarily rather than applying some rational criteria for the evaluated projects. Net present value. The net present value is the present value of future cash flows less any immediate cash outflow at a given discount rate. This discount rate is called as cutoff rate or required rate of return. This immediate outflow is generally the investment made in the project. The net present value is the difference between the present value of inflows and present value of outflows. If this is positive, the project has more inflows than outflows and should be accepted, whereas if outflows are more than inflows, the project should not be accepted. Amongst mutually exclusive projects, that project should be accepted which offers higher NPV. Sometimes more than one project may also be accepted. In that case, all the projects are first ranked as per the NPV technique, and all those projects should be accepted in order of rank as allowed by the constraint of limited capital. The following illustration will help us in understanding the concept. Illustration 1. Mr. M is interested in investing in a project which requires an outflow of rupees 200,000 and will generate an expected cash inflow in the next 4 years as follow. In first year, cash flows are 80, in second year 60,000, in third year 90,000, and in the fourth year 50,000. The cutoff rate is 12%. The solution. The present value of inflows is 80,000 divided by 1.12 in the first year plus 60,000 divided by 1.12 in the second year plus 90,000 divided by 1.12 in the third year and plus 50,000 divided by 1.12 in the fourth year, which is equal to, therefore, the NPV is rupees 215,096 minus rupees 200,000, which is equal to rupees 15,096. The net present value method suffers from major limitation. This method requires the cutoff rate to be known in advance. This may not always be possible. It also assumes that the future cash flows are known in advance and the intermittent cash flows are invested at cutoff rate of return. Profitability index. Profitability index is also called as desirability factor or benefit cost ratio. This technique divides the present value of inflows with the present value of outflows. This gives a relative measure of project evaluation instead of absolute. It simply gives a factor, and if the factor is more than 1, the project is accepted, otherwise not. This factor is also known as benefit cost ratio, that is BCR. A slight variation of the benefit cost ratio is the net benefit cost ratio. Let's look at the illustration. The present value of inflows is rupees 159,000 and the present value of outflows is rupees 100,000. The PI, that is the profitability index ratio, is 159,000 divided by 100,000. that is equal to 1.59. And if we talk about NBCR, then it is given by NPV divided by present value of outflow, which is equal to 59,000 divided by 100,000, which is equal to 0.59. So when BCR is given, it gives total wealth, while NBCR gives the return over and above the original investment. BCR should be greater than 1 and NBCR should be positive in order to become an acceptable project. Internal rate of return. This method finds the rate of return generated by the project. By using trial and error method, it equates the present value of inflows with the present value of outflows. The internal rate of return is that rate of interest at which the net present value of a project is equal to 0. This method does not require any cutoff rate to start with. It computes its internal rate of return and then compares it with the required rate of return. If the return generated by the project is more than the required rate of return, the project is accepted. And if it is less than the required rate, the project is dropped. The concept of IRR can be understood with the help of following illustration. Y Limited is interested in investing in a project that has an initial cash outflow of rupees 10,100,000 and the expected stream of inflows over the next 4 years is as follow. Year 1, cash inflows 500,000, year 2, cash inflows 500,000, in year 3, 308,000 and in the 4th year 120,000. Solution. In order to find the IRR, we have to use hit and trial method. First step will be to take up an arbitrarily any rate and find NPV at that rate. Based on the results of the first step, another rate would be taken up and another NPV is determined. And the two rates are interpolated or if need be extrapolated. So, if the first rate is 15%, NPV at 15% is 1083,980 minus 10,100,000, which is equal to 83,980. Now, 1083,980 is equal to 500,000 divided by 1.15 plus 500,000 divided by 1.15 in year 2, 308,000 divided by 1.15 in year 3 plus 120,000 divided by 1.15 in year 4. Now, since the NPV is positive, we have to try another rate which should be higher. So, let us try at 17%. Now, 1048,951 is equal to 500,000 divided by 1.17 plus 500,000 divided by 1.17 in year 2 plus 308,000 divided by 1.17 in year 3 plus 120,000 divided by 1.174. By interpolation of the two rates of IRR of the project is 19.79%. However, IRR has a major limitation, and that is it assumes that intermittent cash flows are reinvested at the same rate as that of the project. This can be resolved by using a slight variation which is known as modified internal rate of return, that is MIRR. Under this method, we assume a reinvestment rate, and instead of evaluating a project at the initial period, all the cash inflows are taken at the terminal value, and finally the rate of return effectively generated by the project is calculated using the formula for compound interest. Accounting rate of return. Another important technique of capital budgeting is ARR, that is accounting rate of return or average rate of return. This technique does not consider the time value of money, and this method is unique in the sense that it uses profits under tax as the basis of evaluating a project rather than cash flows after tax. The selection criteria is to compare the ARR given by the project with the required ARR. If the ARR is more than the required, the project is accepted, and if it is below the required, then it is rejected. ARR is found by dividing the average profits after tax by the average investment. The average investment is given by dividing the sum total of initial investment and scrap value at the end of the project by 2. Let's look at illustration 3. Let us consider a project that requires an initial investment of 100,000 and the scrap value of the machine so purchased is rupees 20,000. The project has a life of 3 years in which it will generate profits after tax of rupees 12,000 in the year 1, rupees 10,000 in year 2 and rupees 8,000 in the third year. What is the accounting rate of return generated by the project? Solution. Average investment will be the average of rupees 100,000 and rupees 20,000, that is rupees 60,000. Average profit after tax shall be the simple average of rupees 12,000, rupees 10,000 and rupees 8,000, which is rupees 10,000. Therefore, ARR shall be equal to 10,000 divided by 60,000 multiplied by 100, which is equal to 16.67%. If the decision maker finds the ARR of rupees 16.67% satisfactory, he may accept the project. However, this technique has the following limitations. It ignores the time value of money, it takes profits after tax and does not consider cash flow after tax. If in the above illustration the profits after tax for the 3 years had been rupees 8,000, rupees 10,000 and rupees 12,000, the ARR would still be the same. Let us summarize. The projects are screened, and after the preliminary screening, some projects are taken up for further evaluation. The projects have to be economically, financially, technically and marketability appraised. It is to be found whether the projects are technically feasible, economically viable, and financially sound, whether the product manufactured can be marketed or not. In this module, the focus is on financial appraisal. There are some underlying assumptions in making financial appraisal, like the risk of the project is same as that of the firm and cash flows of the future years can be estimated. Another aspect in financial appraisal being that evaluation is done on the basis of long-term providers of funds. There are various techniques of financial appraisal. Most of the techniques use cash flows after tax as the basis of evaluation. These techniques are as follows: 1. Payback period, 2. Net present value method, 3. Internal rate of return, 4. Profitability index, and 5th accounting rate of return. Accounting rate of return is a technique that does not use cash flows, but it uses profits after tax. This technique ignores time value of money and does not differentiate between projects that offer initially higher returns and those which offer higher returns in latter years. Each technique gives results in different manner, and there is a different criteria to accept or reject a project or to choose between mutually exclusive projects. Some methods are relative while some are absolute.